Hey, what's up, guys? My name's Nikki,
And I'm Kyle Mir.
and today we got some Freddy Krueger from Halloween, and he's going to be beating up Ermac. And I think this is the last guy coming out for the Mortal Kombat 9 DLCs.
Yeah, they haven't announced anymore, so this is probably the last one. But if it's not more coming out, we will definitely do more guides on them.
Yeah, if you want to leave a like, because we work hard on these, and a comment if we can improve, then please do so. Also, the times for when each of the combos start, if you want to go back and watch and review some of them, those times are in the description, so you can go back and watch those combos again.
As well as the number conversions for you guys that have been asking for them. I know it's not easy to do Xbox to PS3 conversions. It's a different world, but yeah, they'll be in the description as well.
Yep, so Freddy Krueger, I think he's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that they made him very able to defeat people who are blocking, which is something I'll talk about later. But one thing I forgot to talk about in my tips and tricks section of the video is that if people are blocking, you can turn it into an opportunity where you can build up some energy bar or special bar by repeatedly teleporting away from the other person into the side of the arena, and that will build up your special bar because it's a special ability, and only 16 teleports, which if you play them, you know you can spam it pretty quickly. Only 16 of those builds you 1 bar of your special.
Exactly, and if you manage to get the first hit, then you got 16 hits to it, or 16 teleports to an X-ray.
Yeah, and that's a really fast X-ray, especially if the other person's really blocking.
But here we are with the first fatality. They really focused a lot on the blood in this game. If you pull someone else down that little volcano of blood, then the color changes.
Yeah, for like Reptile it's green, and Cyber Sub-Zero it's blue, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, they really took the time to make sure that this was realistic. Is that the right word?
Kind of. In a non-realistic game, but you know.
Yeah.
It's a nice addition.
We also have the stage and normal Babality. We might just be quiet during the normal Babality because it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But here is Ermac getting his face burnt off.
Again, we don't like Ermac. We do everything to Ermac.
Yes, but anyway, tips and tricks section coming up. This was a live comm, and we will see you on the other side of that section.
All right.
Freddy wins. Babality.
Alright guys, so now what we'll be going over is some tips and tricks to play Freddy Krueger. Unlike before where we just showed combos, I'll now be explaining how to play him more successfully in online matches against other real players. So if you watched the video that me and Nikki did a couple days ago, it was a Mortal Kombat video of us playing online. It was just a live video. And we encountered a lot of people who like to crouch block the entire game. And that's a very infuriating thing because if you play the game, you know that when they're crouch blocking, it blocks pretty much everything. Just like X-rays. So when you think you can sneak one in, they just block it, which sucks. And one important thing about the 51% X-ray combo that I showed you before is that since it starts off with a jumping forward punch, it means that you can hit them when they're in the crouch blocking position. Also, if they're standing and blocking, I'll switch back to that, you can realize that they're standing and blocking so that when you hit them, you don't have to follow through with it, so it just blocks it. And so after you do a hit, you can do any sort of thing. You can go into a low kick, you can back up to sweep at them, or you can teleport away since they don't really have enough time to react. And so instead of just starting off doing a combo and then trying to X-ray or just plain out X-raying, which you should really never do unless you have no other choice. Starting with that the jump punch is very vital to landing your X-ray attack. The next thing is that you can use down back circle, this move called Nightmare Stance, to fake out your enemies. One reason this is so important, you'll see later in the Mythbusters, one important feature it has, but just plainly here, you can fake out opponents because first of all, they're going to expect an attack because you can do a sweep, which helps them helps you if they're standing and blocking, and if they're ducking, you can do this, and you have another choice to do a medium attack, which is much more damaging and also hits them if they're crouch blocking. So both these things allow Freddy Krueger to attack blocking opponents, so no matter what stance they're in, you can hit them when you go into your Nightmare Stance. So because they're going to be expecting an attack, you can fake out your enemies by going into this stance. They'll probably go into a blocking position or try to attack you before you get an attack off on them. And one important thing about this is when you go into this position, you don't have to do, there is a square attack which knocks them up into the air, the triangle which is the medium attack, and the X which is the low attack. But you don't have to use those. You can use circle to cancel it, or what I prefer to do is you can use your special abilities to teleport out of the way if they're trying to attack you, or teleport behind them if he was facing the other way. Teleport behind them so you can grab them. You can also use it to teleport away or use a teleport away and use a projectile to get some distance between them if they're a mostly close range person like Jax, for instance. You can also just straight off the bat use a projectile attack. So you have a lot of options when you go into this stance. If they're blocking, then you can hit them with what you need to do to knock them down, or you can choose to use your special abilities. The opposite can also be done. Instead of going into Nightmare Stance and then teleporting away to get some distance, you can also teleport in and then go into Nightmare Stance, which will have a completely different effect on the enemy's mind. Since you are Freddy Krueger, you should be messing with their mind. But if you teleport in, they're going to be expecting an attack, so they will most likely block. And by going into this stance, like I explained before, you have the options to attack them no matter what type of blocking they're doing. That means that by teleporting in and forcing them to block because they'll be expecting an attack, that's what you want them to do. You want them to block in this instance, for once actually, because you have the ability to hit them no matter which stance they're in. So those are a couple of things you can do online to mess with your opponent, land more attacks, and stop them from blocking, or well, not stop them from blocking, stop them from blocking effectively, and always make sure you land that X-ray. Alright.
We got 2 myths for Freddy Krueger. The first one is if you knock out someone, then the blood that appears on the screen is the same as their blood, which is kind of interesting.
Kind of like the volcano. The second myth is focused around his Nightmare Stance, which I was wondering, since he's kind of crouched down, if he can dodge projectiles, which it can, which makes, like I showed before, his Nightmare Stance very helpful.
Yeah, and here's his ending. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Freddy Krueger's bladed hands tore through Shao Kahn. The demonically enhanced weapons had been more than a match for the Emperor's dark magic. Though Freddy had saved Earthrealm, Nightwolf recognized him as an evil spirit, and in a shamanistic ritual sent him back to the Dream Realm. But that decision proved ruinous. Freddy did not resist. He welcomed a return to immortality. From the Dream Realm, he will again create a nightmare in Earthrealm.